Good afternoon. What up, everybody? Back with another podcast, Delete Kings podcast. Appreciate you tuning in. By the way, I go by the name of Ty, aka DeleteKing850, and we're back. It's been a while, but we gonna dive straight into it. It's all good, we building a team over here. We gonna be consistent. We got the new podcast set up. And what are we talking about? What are we doing? I got my peoples in the room. We got CVO Films, Chicago's very own.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? And we got, I don't want to mispronounce your name, so let the people say it. Talanda. Perfect. So right now we building a team. Hey, yo, on that angle, make sure I got enough headroom, so you might want to adjust it a little bit. But we got the podcast. We up and running. We back going. It's been a while since I shot the last one, but I want to keep it going. There's no reason to stop greatness at the end of the day. We're going to talk about finance. We're going to talk about the goals that we have in common. So we're actually having a mastermind right now. The first few hours of this meeting right now, we was just getting together and see what goals we have in common. And we want to get the podcast up and running. We want to get the content up and running. So that's what we're going to do. And then we're going to start off with this conversation where introducing ourselves to the world, or even reintroducing ourselves to the world, in a sense where y'all know who we are, where we coming from. Me, what I specialize in, business funding, credit restoration, I would say, and just helping you improve your personal finances, where we can get you up to 100K in business credit. I specialize in business credit. I consider myself a business consultant. I would say I would like to call myself a expert in the business consulting and business finance space, but I got a lot more to learn. So this podcast is about me not being the smartest person in the room. It's more about getting other people in the room that are smarter than me, and then whoever else I get in the room that may not know what I know, I'm definitely gonna share it with them. How we're able to obtain large business lines of credit, large credit cards, and just raise capital to be able to invest in the goals that we're actually interested in, right? So the people in this room, we obviously have mutual goals. I do a lot of content creation. CVO, he does a lot of content creation. And Talanda is a property manager. I'll let them introduce themselves properly, let you know what they do. But ultimately, it's like we got common goals, common interests, at the end of the day. That we know how to help each other out, and we're gonna do that. We're in the same city, so yeah. I'll start with you, CVO. Man, we done gone live a couple times.
Yes,
you can,
sir.
follow him, CVO Films on Instagram. But yeah, man, this guy's been working on his credit, and I've heard his name before I've actually met him. I've seen his work before I've actually met him. He has a name in these streets. And in corporate, not just the street. He has a name in Chicago. He's literally Chicago's very own. One of the top 3. Literally, there's literally a chart for like videographers, right?
Uh-huh.
You was posting it in your story.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So you're literally top 5
nice.
in the city. Let the people know who you are, what you do, how long you've been doing it. The whole rundown.
Well, what's going on? As he said, I'm CVO Films. My real name is Jose, but I go by CVO Films, Chicago's very own films. I've been doing this for quite a while now. I've been doing it for about, really touching into videography, about 6 years, but dealing with a camera probably about 8. It's been a long time. I've been doing this since I was in high school, but that wasn't really my fully focus at one point. You know what I'm saying? I was more onto the sports things, and kind of I took a turn with that after I had left college due to an injury that took my scholarship away from me and everything away from me from that point. And then I just really wanted to dive deep into my craft, and now I just love shooting. I love shooting, creating content. Not only I do a lot of music videos, I do everything that needs to be done as far as proms, weddings, commercials, the whole 9 yards. I just love being able to bring something to life with the camera and, show people that I have a vision with only technically one vision, because the injury that I have in college that took away football was a right eye injury. I cannot see in my right eye. So I do a lot of this stuff with one eye, and it kind of like, I like it and I love it because it gives me a different perspective and it shows it like I can use my one good, you know what I'm saying, my one good vision to do, you know what I'm saying, create content and do good things as far as that.
Wow. Killing the game, man. I didn't even know that. That's amazing. That's amazing to still have that vision throughout all these years, you know. You always getting the I just respect the edits that I've seen, you know what I mean? Like the person that says they were working with you, how kind of like one of the reasons that we probably met in person before that, but I was like, yo, you messing with CVO? Do you know who you're talking to? You know what I mean? Like, so I always respected the craft. And so you're independent. You're completely independent. You just do video full time.
Literally, that's all I do. I do this full time. I'm dependent. I'm independent. But you know, whenever there's an opportunity to work with a team, you know, to get my hands into a different project, you know, a project that needs a gaffer, a videographer, a cinematographer, anything that's in that realm, you know, I'm not opposed to anything. I'm always with that. But as far as a lot of the stuff that I've done that has got me here, it's all been me.
For sure. All right, cool. We're going to get into your story a little bit more.
100%.
Let's introduce Talonda.
Oh, you got my name right.
Perfect. Be nervous sometimes, but it's not
Hey,
it.
I'm Talonda. I do specialize in property management. I've been doing it for about 2 years now. I've gotten into it just learning about real estate because it's just so many different avenues that you could go into real estate, right? The reason why I did it is because doing that, I've seen a lot of people just throw away money in the beginning without even because they don't know like the right requirements, the things that they need to do in order to put a tenant in, you know, that apartment, whether it's an Airbnb or you just want to rent it out to a tenant. You have to make sure you do your due diligence. And a lot of people don't like to take the time to do that. So that's where I come in at. You know, I learn about that village, that city, and just the bylaws to make sure that the owner is gonna have a good tenant and we're gonna do everything the right way. So yeah, that's what I do. I also work in the trucking industry. I've been doing that for about 8 years now. I'm an operations manager for the trucking company that I work for. Kind of manage the property there too, because we have at least 4 sites that we, you know, do truck parking. We sell trucks. We hire drivers. You know, the whole setup for truck drivers. So I'm here today working with you guys because I want to see how can we all come together to take care of people. I guess I'll say that. Take care of people because I see that a lot of people want to do a lot of things, but they're not put into the right hands, right? So that's where management for me just comes into play. So that's what I do. Okay.
That's dope.
That's
That's
enough.
dope. Yeah, yeah. That's amazing because a couple years ago, I was super obsessed with like real estate and the whole wholesaling thing, and then the person that connected us was like, yeah, and those property managers, all the people that got properties, they're looking to, rent them out, manage them, all of that stuff. I'm like, word? Yeah, and it's, interested in content creation and this and that. So I'm like, bet, let's definitely connect and network on that aspect because, I just see a lot of value in that, you know what I mean? And in trucking, especially, like,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I heard trucking is like, I literally seen a post in the last 12 hours from somebody. It was like, everybody in trucking is suffering right now. It's a scam. Like,
Yeah.
what's your
And
insight on
that's
that?
true. That's true. I see it. And I kind of feel for the drivers because they are, driving miles away. And if you don't make enough money to bring home, then yeah, you're suffering if you're out there and you're not making money, right? I don't see it getting better anytime soon, which is why I suggest that if you do go into the trucking industry, you want to make sure if you do decide to buy a truck, what are going to be your dedicated lanes. You make sure you have those right contracts and connections in order to get out there on the road before you just go purchase a truck and say, I'm going to drive a truck in because I have my CDL. You got to take the time out and make sure whatever company you're working for have those, the right connections for you to drive under their MC number because that's really what you need to get started, right? The MC number, and that's costly. A lot of drivers don't want to do that at the moment. So if you don't have the MC number, a good truck that's reliable, and good contacts that you could, deliver for, then you really don't have a good income, a stable income right now in this industry. So if you're a newcomer, I suggest that you just do your due diligence, which is my favorite words, because you have to take the time to do the necessary work to get the knowledge that you need. If you don't have those things and you don't take the time to do that, I don't see the industry getting better for an owner operator at all. And that's just me being honest, because fuel is so high. The numbers are not adding up for the drivers. The brokers are probably eating
Right.
because they got you paying for the fuel and they got you delivering the load, right?
Right.
And you're getting the lowest percentage,
Right.
and which is not fair.
That's crazy. Cause it's like I feel like I had an uncle, call him Uncle Mike, right? He had a van, and we were trying to figure out, because it was just sitting. He bought like 2 vans. I was like, yo, we gotta get this on the road. You know what I mean? What I gotta do to get my DOT number and the MC number and all of that stuff. And then I got a quote for the insurance.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, what was that again? How much? I was like, all right, cool. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, it wasn't, like, you really got to know what you're doing. You know what I mean? Because it's all really dependent on how you going to find those loads or whatever those, what do they call them? Freight? Or
Freight.
the proper term for it, yeah.
Yeah,
Where you're
freight.
finding the boards or whatever. There's like a list of websites that I had, this is a game plan to get those trucks on the road and, at what, $2 a mile or something like that. But yeah, somebody literally made that post the other day, like, trucking is like, there's other ways.
I mean, it can be lucrative if you just take the time that you need to in the beginning, because you may not make that much in the beginning. I think that's probably with anything. You have to do it consistently in order to get results. And right now, that is really what you have to do in the trucking industry. You have to stick to, your routes and stick to being in the truck if you want to see results, versus I've been driving for a month and I haven't made any money. This not going to work. No, I don't think that's not.
Right. You really just have to stick to it and have that availability you have to, like, does a trucker have to be just available at certain times to go certain places and stuff, like, or?
Well, that depends on, like, what you sign up for. They could sign up to be a local driver who's home every night. Like, for us, we only do over the road. You're going to be, like, from home, like, months or so, 2 or 3 months. So it's up to you as an owner-operator, because basically you're an independent contractor, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can choose where you want to go, like how many days you want to stay out, or months, if that. You just have to figure out what's for you, how long you want to be in the truck, because it's not for everybody,
Right.
Just looking forward a certain amount of hours if you're over the road. Or you may be local, where you just want to get on and off the expressway, go around the corner, make your drop, and go home.
Right.
It's got to fit what's for you.
Because I used to hear back in the day, trucking is really lucrative and it's the go-to thing if you just want to sure 6 figures, and you might.
Back in the day, it was, and that's what's so crazy. Like, if you were taking care of yourself and you were in the industry as a truck driver back in the day, you would be prepared for this moment. You would not feel it. You wouldn't feel it at all, because you gave yourself enough cushion, because it was that much room to do that back in the day. But now.
Yeah, I feel like now just a lot of different things is becoming a lot harder than it was before in everything.
Yeah, literally.
That's for everyone,
like this year especially. And I noticed, I want to bring up some. You did mention you got a truck or something like that, like a truck or a van.
Yeah, I got a Yukon Denali, the XL. I was trying to do a black truck service, kind of like Uber Black, kind of like things like that. And one thing that I didn't do my due diligence and figure out what everything that was needed for that. So it kind of ended up being a little business bust, because not only that, the facts that I didn't do my homework on what it takes to have a black truck in Chicago. It was more with the truck that I got had a bad transmission, and it was gonna cost a lot more to get it up and running than I was gonna really willing to do. So I ended up doing some things, and I got some money back for it, and was able to, kind of pay that off. But what it was I wasn't able to do a black truck service in Chicago because my vehicle was over 5 years old. You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't able to even get the LY plates for that and all that extra stuff. I wasn't even able to put it on Uber Black for that reason too, just because how old the vehicle was. And that's one thing I didn't do my homework on. I was rushing like, oh, deal, black truck. I'm thinking what I can do with it, how I can promote it. I know there's Toro or there's this and then that. I can do it. And I just didn't do my homework too much on it. So it ended up being a bad buzz deal. But it's also a learning experience too, because now I know when I'm going to get something into that, I need to know every in and out of it so it can be approved and I can, use that to make money.
That's what's up. That's what's up. That's interesting. It's important to just do the due diligence, whatever you're trying to get into. I am curious to know, like, all right, the content creation has always been like your main thing. Is there anything you're looking forward to or currently working on that you can even, or even other sources of income? It doesn't have to be anything that's behind the scenes that nobody needs to know, but like if you would want the world to know about whatever else you got going on, what sort of things are you into besides behind the camera?
I mean, as far as that, like, of course, behind the camera is my main thing. I definitely, before COVID hit, I was promoting a lot of shows. Me and a couple partners got together and were able to bring a couple artists to Chicago, put venues together and really do that. After COVID, we tried it, kind of a little discrepancy with the venue and then the location, so we had to change stuff. So we kind of took an L on that show. But other than that, like, I'm really kind of want to push that promotion, throwing shows, getting everybody together for a good time, good music, good artists, no BS, leave all the BS at home and everyone come have a good time listening to a dope artist. So that's another thing I was doing, just full on entrepreneurship, just kind of like tap into different businesses that I see myself into, as far as, like I said, getting like a little black truck, probably getting some cars or fleets, on Turo, or doing this, that, and the third, building credit, or just learning how to do things just like that as well, as far as for myself and others as well. Kind of different things I've been working on like that. Just overall, just being an entrepreneur, getting myself in every aspect I can, because like I said, like they say, is that you want to be successful, you want to be a wealthy, rich, whatever you know what I'm saying, you're guessing, you want at least like 5 to 6 revenues of income. So that's what I try to do, even though like with content creation, with videography, you can kind of do that. You can break it off into different revenues because of different businesses and different type of content you're creating, but it's still like there's still those other gaps that I want to also, fill.
For sure. So your next best, so the shows have been working out. You've maybe been able to do a couple of them with a couple artists?
We were able to do a decent amount of shows before COVID really hit. It was very a fun experience. It was dope to be able to reach out and grab artists that people want to see and go crazy for their favorite artist, or they inspire them, and be able to bring them to the city and connect everybody and have throw a crazy show.
So I just want to sort of go over like, all right, what's been like some successes and things to look out for in running a show, like you were kind of mentioning earlier, what you got to look out for. All right, you don't have to name the pricing for a specific artist or anything.
Type
but
of
like,
deal. Give you kind of example.
Yeah.
I mean, when it comes to that, you definitely want to do your work. You want to. They have every artist is gonna have their price. You want to give them when you write up your contract. You want to tell them like, hey, this is the price that you're going to get. You're going to get that money, but we're going to start you offering us, give you a deposit of 20%, 30%, however you feel, however they negotiate. You're going to give them their deposit so they can lock it in the contract. You also want to make sure that, the artists have at least 2-3 drops. Drops is as in they're promoting it themselves as well on their social media platforms, on wherever they got going on, so their fans know, as well as we are putting our own money into promotions as far as the radios, social medias, the whole 9 yards. So you want to do all that. And as far as you getting a venue, of course, venue has their fees. You got to talk to the venue, especially if it's a liquor venue or not a liquor venue for all ages. There's all types of contracts, and kind of like talking about that and just make sure everything goes smooth. You're going to have 10,000 people. You need to have like one security guard per 10 person, So it comes with a lot to get that there. But once you get it there and you do the math, you're selling tickets at $50 a pop, $60 early sales, VIPs, media passes, meet and greets. You can honestly make a lot. $50,000 artist can end up giving you 250,000. You know what I'm saying? Depending
That's
on
one night.
what you're doing. It's one night. And they get paid, you got paid. And not only that, like, you also got to think about it, like, you can get sponsorships. Sponsors can pay for your stage, can pay for your radio promotion, you know, as long as you put their little thing on the stage, you know. Like, sponsorships could definitely go a long way and help you put and throw on a great show without having to break pockets, you know. So it's definitely a lot that goes into that. But once it's done right, and, you know, I have seen it done right before, and I've also seen it done wrong.
Right.
But when it's right, it's so beautiful. The payout is amazing. And it's like, all you want to do is just run it again. Who else could we bring? The bigger artists.
Right.
Bigger this, bigger that.
Right. What happened? So I'm sure there's a million ways for it to go wrong.
Oh,
do you have any stories, like, or anything?
So I got a story. So we threw Bone Thugs and Harmony in New Mexico. That's who it was. It was after COVID. This is it was last year. Was it last year? Yeah, it was about last year. So we threw Bone Thugs and Harmony. It was supposed to be in Albuquerque. Whatever happened with the promoter that we had out there, he wasn't on point. We couldn't get the contract or whatever it was to lock in the venue that we had. So it even went on the news that they were like, oh, this is not real. This is not that. Don't go to this show. Don't buy this. Wow. But it's like, we paid Bone. We paid Bone and everyone else that was supposed to be at the show. I think it was a nice little lineup. It was almost like it was supposed to be tacos and tequila fest. That's what it was. And with that happening, we ended up having to move the entire show to a new part of New Mexico and the date itself. And with that happening, we lost vendors. You know, we lost people that bought tickets that didn't want to go all the way over there where we had moved it. People on the lineup, they had other shows, so they couldn't even make that day. So we were so instead of it being about like 10 people on the lineup, we only had Bone Thugs and Harmony that day. And as far as a couple of other people that we had with us that were already going to be there regardless. But as far as headliners and big openers, Bone Thug was pretty much the only person that had been there. And then on top of that, just different things as far as like when a venue comes, you throwing something like that, the people can also submit reviews as far as what we got going on. They're going to be like, oh, this person wasn't there, that person wasn't there. So now with the venue, not with the venue, but with the ticket sales that we were doing, they're asking for refunds now and all the extra stuff. So we weren't able to make as much as we were, we wanted because of all the different situations that had happened because of that.
Damn. Them refunds must have been crazy.
Oh, man, I'm talking, it was an email every week. I'm over here with me and my partner. I'm like, all right, we gonna get paid today? Ooh. Oh, I just got an email. 5 tickets got refunded. Oh, I got another email. 10 tickets got refunded. I'm just like, Jesus Christ.
That's
to the point,
wild.
where you kind of lose out on a big chunk. But that's kind of the risk, of this game, especially if it's not done right. And that's also when you're not doing things right, when people are not doing their due diligence to do, to make sure that things run right and everything. So
Close the door.
So have you tried to go back to Mexico since?
No, because they wanted to arrest me. I'm not gonna lie. It was bad. It was bad. So
they thought you were a scammer.
Man, no. So what happened is that we were the new place where the venue was on Indian Reserve territory. So they have their own laws almost. I don't know what happens, what they got going on. It's their own little thing, but. It was already stressful. We had a long drive. We drove all the way to New Mexico from here. And, I would weed is legal here. Weed is legal. So, we brought some weed over there to, smoke, on the long journey that we had. But it's illegal there, So one of the cops, he had came to us. He said he smelled it, but we had smoked earlier on. And then he goes, oh, I don't want to see it. I don't want to smell it. He was just kind of talking crazy. I was like, all right, relax. I told him to relax. It was it. He said, relax. Oh, you're out of here. Oh, I'm going to put handcuffs on you all right now. I was like, what? I was like, all I said was relax. I got you. Like, you said it 4 times before you even came to me right now.
Well, if you're relaxed, that's proof that you're high.
Right?
You're relaxed.
It was just so much. And he was the chief of the Indian Reserve Police who I told to relax. So that was even...
You couldn't even call. Hey, call your supervisor,
right?
man.
He
You
was
out of pocket.
the head. He was the head of everything, and he damn near took me out the venue. And I was trying to tell him that, you know, like, hey, I'm one of the reasons why this is happening. I'm one of the promoters. I'm one of the people who paid these people to be here. Like you can't just kick me out. Like, I have to help run the show. Like, and the thing is, I had the card readers, so you know what I'm saying, for people who had credit cards, they got to come through me.
What?
You know what I'm saying? So I had to do all that stuff. Like, and they trying to take me out, and it was a whole big thing. They had to call someone that was helping us to run that show, and they were like, yeah, he's good, and it was just, it was crazy. I actually don't want to go back. I'm good with New Mexico. They can have that city. I'll drive through, fly through, whatever, but after that one, it was spicy.
It sounded like a nightmare. Like,
man, I literally thought I was gonna get arrested. Like, we had no room. We literally were in and out. Like, we literally drove in and drove out. We didn't stay at no hotel, nothing. We came from Chicago, drove straight to New Mexico to do the show, got there the morning of, and then literally left right after the show. And we had like 4 or 5 people with us. We just all drove in portions.
Wow.
Like, I thought I was gonna get arrested in New Mexico, and especially in the Indian Reserve where like they laws or whatever they got going on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't go call the state patrol to go over there because that's not their jurisdiction. You know what I'm saying? So they could have put me under the cell for all I know.
Damn.
It was bad. It was bad.
So good to see you today.
Right, good thing I'm here. You know what I'm saying? But it's definitely,
bad.
and that happened during a show that I was throwing. You know what I'm saying? So anything can happen. You know, from police to the people themselves. You know?
Yeah. That's
Crazy.
wild,
It's
man.
crazy.
That's wild, but that's another stream of income. When it works,
Oh,
it gonna
works.
work.
Oh.
It's gonna be beautiful, but it's like one of those situations on the flip side. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. So we want to be prepared for everything that can go wrong at the end of the day, right? And I also wanted to bring up, I should have brought it up at the very beginning, but Talanda also is the host of Black and Financially Lit.
Yes, I am.
All right, cool. And you want to get more into like, content creation. So you're actually knowledgeable about like credit, how your credit should be structured, what your credit should be. So what sort of like, what do you talk about on your podcast, and what messages you kind of want to get out to the world, for people to start checking out your stuff?
Well, we talk about just ways because when people want to invest in real estate, my first question to them is, what is your situation and what is your plan? What do you want to do? Whether it's buy a home, whether it's, fix and flip, or you want to do buy and hold, get tenants, things like that. So just going through that process, you just want to be prepared. So that's what Black and Financially Lit talk about. Because our communities, Black people specifically, I'll just put it out there, but our focus is everyone, not just Black folks, but our communities, they seem to suffer more than others. So I feel like that's because they don't have the right resources in the community. So we come together and we talk about ways that you can just get yourself on the right path to move forward in investing in property. And you have to start with credit. That's what they check for, your history, your relationships that you've built over time. And you have to explain that when you go into these banks. So on Black and Financially Lit podcast, my vision is to just start with the basic people that, I'm sorry, I don't want to say basic. That's not the word I was looking for.
Yeah,
not basic. But the ones that's like, just further behind than others, I guess. We can say that. Ask the questions that they may not know to ask. I interview people that, that's in the real estate industry that is actually out there doing it. I know that they had to start from somewhere, right? So I just interview people and ask them questions for the other people that want to get started.
Okay, that's awesome.
And like one of the first podcasts, which I've shared with you, was being financially unhealthy, because I feel like if you don't have the right finances, you are just like out of balance, unhealthy. You can't think straight. You can't, maneuver how you want to. So we talk about getting financially lit.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that. I mean, we all want to be financially lit.
Right.
It sounds amazing.
Yeah, that's the goal. You know what I mean? Like when I really originally started this podcast, it was just like I became obsessed with the topic of just credit, and then I found out about business credit. And I'm like, what? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I started just trying to get like a credit card from like Navy Federal, like because my uncle Mike, my mentor, my first mentor. He was like, "Did you know Navy Federal is just handing out 25K like candy to anybody with a decent credit score?" So I worked my way up, and I surpassed that. But it was just like that was one of the main reasons. I was like, if I had 25K, then I could be my own cash buyer because if I'm gonna borrow private money, I just need to bring what 2 to 10% down to the closing table actually, and I can know how to rip it off a credit card easy. You know what I mean? So it's like I just, when starting a podcast or whatever, it's like I can talk about credit for hours, days even, you know what I mean? Like even doing consultations or whatever. I don't know why it's become an obsession, but it just has, the concept of, all right, where's all this money coming from? The fact that, banks literally just print out money by pushing numbers on a computer and then your signature creates the money literally. And you don't have to rob the bank no more. All you got to do is literally just
Go in there.
with a good credit score. You know what I mean? Yeah. Not just a good credit score, a good credit profile overall. But I was like, people need to know this because it's like, you don't know until somebody like tells you or you sort of find out. You scour the internet. And it was like an epiphany for me. Yeah. You know what I mean? Now, how you use the capital once you get it, how you leverage it, how you multiply it, that's a whole nother story.
So that's why the podcast is important to me because I feel like you can gain all of that and just blow it and do the wrong things with it if you're not just healed inside, I'll say, mentally, physically. Like you have to be healed in all of those areas in order to know how to manage something you never had, right?
Oh,
we hear it all the time. So that's why I'm like, okay, I want to put my voice out there. I want to help people because helping people kind of like fuels my energy. Like I just get excited based on doing that, right? So I just feel like, yeah, you definitely have to be at the right mental space to use. We can talk about money all the time, all day, every day. We could talk. Let's talk about money, right? But what are you going to do with the money? How are you going to financially invest in the long run, make a legacy? Because at the end of the day, that's what we're doing. We're making a legacy. We're not just doing. Leading the blind. That's what they call it, right?
Right.
So we're not just out here wanting people to gain the capital and blow the capital, and flash the capital, invest the capital, make a legacy.
Right.
Like make the blueprint.
And I definitely noticed that because I started telling when I talk about business credit with certain people, they'll be like, oh, I gotta pay it back. I gotta do this. Like I can't just keep it. Something like, yeah, you gotta be a smart individual. This is not no scam. This is not no lick or anything like that. This is a real thing that real people do. Real businessmen, real who are businesswomen, whoever whatever you want to call it. They go into the banks and they get money from the banks and they put it where they need to so they can get funding for them. They can make. So like. You get 10,000. It's not the goal. It's not to blow that 10,000. Right. It's to take that 10,000, go make you 20,000. Take the 10,000 that you owe, pay them back. Now you got a free 10,000 without using your own money.
Exactly.
And then my question is, what is wrong with giving it back?
Right.
Like,
what's wrong
with
what's wrong with you being responsible?
Right. They don't want to give you more if you give it back.
Exactly.
That's the concept that they really need to grasp. You know what I mean? There's lines of credit that. It's like my banker literally told me, hey, by the way, if you use this line of credit and you pay it back, it's going to start reporting on your business credit report. Unlike my other bank, which I won't mention, I used their line of credit a bunch of times and they don't want to report nothing. They don't want to report that I'm good at paying.
That's a financial bank. See, that's another thing. Who you get it from. The financial banks and the credit unions are different. Exactly. I have seen that.
Yeah. Well. So it's like, I'm like, not only, you got to invest the capital, but for the sake of improving my business credit report, like I became obsessed with showing the bank I can max out their cards or lines of credit, whatever, and I can pay it back successfully. Just building that data point where I ain't got to fake nothing. You know what I mean? Like it's really there. Them bank statements is really there. That business credit report is so essential. People literally pay for business trade lines. You know what I mean? But it's just like once you get a bank that's willing to report that you can manage X amount of money, all right, cool. And then the whole fact that like I know the previous podcast on my channel is just talking about like, did you know the banks give you like free money? I'm like, and I'm trying to have a little disclaimer there where it's like, yeah, technically it's free, but there's strings attached. It's literally like a game. It's literally, and the closest things I always compare it to is like a knife or a fire. Great tools if you use them the right way. You know what I mean? Or even like a loaded gun. You point it at yourself, you're
done.
You're done. You're out of there. So it's like, it's the same concept where it's like, yeah, technically the money's free in a sense that it's just crazy to walk into a bank and it just hands you a whole bunch of money. Like what?
It's more
what
like opportunity.
It's the
Yeah.
opportunity, you know what I mean? Where it's like, all right, here you go. 12 months, we're not even gonna charge you no interest. You're like, what's up with this? Yo, what you mean, bro? What you mean you just gave me
What do you
50,
want from me?
100 grand and y'all ain't gonna charge me interest? What's the catch?
Who sent you?
You know what I mean? So they're literally doing that where it's like, all right, to make sure you don't go ghost on us, you just gotta give us $1,000 a month. So even if you were to transfer that 100K they gave you, put it in your checking account, and then it drips out, it's getting paid back monthly at $1,000, 1% of whatever you borrowed, right? That's the concept of it. So it's like within that 12 months, that 100K, are you able to turn that 100K into 125K, right? The real estate investors, what do they typically aim for? 14% return on their money over the year.
Yeah.
The stock market, 7% of their money is what, you know what I mean? Like I from when I did research on, what type of returns, if you spend $1, I used to think it was spend $1 make $2, but if you spend $1 make 25, you know what I mean? 25 cents. You know what I mean? So what type of return are you gonna get from borrowing $100,000 to really set your family free, to really like do what you gotta live the lifestyle you want and create some passive, semi-passive income, just income that you chose what problems you want to have. Like problems ain't going away, but it's like, well, I set up this business, and this is what I want to do, and we're able to make more than the interest rate of whatever it costs to borrow that money. You're able to make more, right? So the rich people, I realized like they're living within the margins between the cost to borrow the money and the profit at the
It's
end
a
of the day.
lifestyle.
Exactly. It's definitely a lifestyle where, like I said, problems don't go away. You know what I'm saying? Like you still gonna have to manage your money, pay these people back on time, but they will give you those funds for that head start. And then you get into things like, either short-term rentals, and people say, like we were discussing earlier, a lot of things this year is sort of been like when it comes to renting out cars, trucking,
Kind of everything.
a lot of stuff that went viral, like maybe like 18 months ago. Man,
Cutting it right now.
talk about it, man. Because I've been seeing even people that were really posting about like Turo. You know what I'm saying? Like I got a few cars on there, but it's just like, are they really eating like that though? You know what I mean? Or like the short-term rental. Like I know the people that's doing the private rentals, they eat, because they got their own contracts, their own insurance or whatever, right? But what are you guys seeing right now, in your opinion, is the best way to go about, getting financially lit, or just like setting up a pathway to freedom or living the lifestyle you want? What sort of industries y'all got your eyes on, or what would you tell the world they should be getting into?
Just invest in real estate, buy and hold. Buy something that you can hold, that you can, put in trust funds. Because if you don't have a trust fund, then everything is still a liability, right?
Right.
So I would just say get some property, because everything, that's the thing about real estate, and this is why I love it so much, because everything is built off land, right? So far as tax purposes, a lot of things can be written off, okay? So I would just say put yourself in the right position to use some property, just whether you don't even have to stay there. You can still be a renter, but you're still prepared for times like this, right? You still have some type of leverage. So yeah, I would tell people to make sure your credit, of course, is good, and if you had debt, pay the debt off. Like I don't understand why some people would not, want to pay those people back because, like I said, the history is still on there. So even if you don't pay it off, that balance is still on there. So I'll start with the smallest numbers on my credit report and get those things off of my credit report and just put myself in a good position so that when I walk in the door asking for money, I know that I'm not going to get turned down.
Yeah, and then what I say to that is like, as far as like, there's the debt you want to pay and the other debt where it's like you pay them back, it's not gonna matter. Like
Yeah.
they still gonna report that negative item on your credit report, right?
Yeah.
So like there's a lot of noise around restoring your credit and what to actually do when you actually have a collection,
Right.
or just like late payments, right? So the general rule is like people have heard of the pay for deletion method, where it's like you can contact the company, whether it's an original creditor or a collection agency that's reporting negative items on your report, and just agree, hey, it's a couple $100. Hey, if y'all willing to delete this, and put something in writing that y'all gonna delete this if I pay it. I'm not admitting to it, because debt is also alleged debt by definition. You know what I mean? But if it's like, yo, let's get this off my credit report, but y'all gotta remove it from my credit because a lot of people, they'll just pay it and it's still reporting late. I'm like, so what'd you pay it for? You know what I mean? Like, what did you gain out of that transaction? You want to just feel better? You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, it's like, nah, like you either know how to negotiate that pay for deletion, or you do a little bit of studying. You work with somebody like myself, you know what I mean, to get that third-party collection removed. Because when you're dealing with third-party collections, that's like me and him doing business, right? And then something went wrong where he didn't get all his funds, and then he's like, well, I'm gonna write it off. I took it out. They have to, every business got to write off their profit and losses, right? So he's just taking that as a loss. After 120 days, it becomes a charge off. It's in the collection department. They just send it to either another company that he owns within his company, or he just sells it to a third-party collection agency. So at the end of the day, let's say you're a third-party collection agency, he sells it to you. Now you blowing up my phone talking about I owe you now because of business I did with him. That don't even make no sense in the real world. And people are falling for it. So it's like.
So you have two separate ones on your report at that point.
You had the original creditors, like people. If you ever burn like Chase or Bank of America or Capital One, man, them people hold grudges. Even Amex, oh my gosh, they will hold that grudge. You do not want to burn those top 5 banks in a day. So, and they might not send it to a third-party collection agency, especially if you owe them a couple thousand. They will handle their stuff within house, say, nope, this other little baby LLC is Chase Collections. You still owe us. So at the end of the day, but when it comes to those third-party collection agencies, the burden of proof is on them to prove, like, all right, y'all gotta prove, like, what are y'all talking about? Like, how do y'all get my information? It's pretty much a version of identity theft for that third party agency to be in possession of your social, of your address, all this information. How they start sending you mail out of anywhere? You know what I mean? Out of the blue. You just start hearing from them. They're talking about you owe us now because of something you did, business you did with them. But you didn't sign a contract with that third party. So it's just like, it's ridiculous for them to really ask you like to pay them. But then people just choose to pay them. And then they start reporting illegally to your credit report. Nah, it ain't right. So there's methods to go about it where, you never want to ignore those letters that come in the mail. Because at the end of the day, those letters that come in the mail, it's like, if you don't respond within 30 days, then it's almost like you're guilty by default, which ain't right, but that's technically how it works. You can send anybody a letter saying that you owe them. And if you write that letter the correct way, you could, get it notarized and send it to the courts, and you can really get a judgment. It don't matter if you're a collection agency or a regular person. That's just the way,
if it's all done
if it's all done how it's done, you could write a letter to a random person in the United States talking about
$100,000.
You know what I mean? And they can literally end up with a judgment on your report. So you just want to respond to like every letter in a sense, in a reasonable amount of time, and you're demanding proof. Like, all right, where's the original contract that you're talking about? I'm a little confused. I'm not denying it. I'm not admitting it, but I need y'all to come with them documents with my signature. And if there's a contract in place, by definition, contract involves a meeting of the minds with two different signatures, like who agreed to what. You demand to see those documents, and long story short, a lot of these collection agencies
Don't have them.
they're gonna have a hard time, producing those documents. And a lot of people get caught up because these collection agencies will they'll literally just send you statements. Again,
Not the
anybody could draft up a document that shows you owe them money with the amount, whatever. Oh, this was your balance on XYZ date, and this is, what you paid, and this is the interest rate. It don't have no signatures. Like, statements is not an agreement. It doesn't count. So at the end of the day, they can send you statements and you can fall for it, but you requested validation. I think there's validation and there's verification. There's two different definitions. Y'all do the research.
All of you.
There's a difference. So you got to be slick with the verbiage on all of this stuff. I do have a business where, book a consultation at the end of the day. Go to DeleteKing850.com. You can just get on the calendar, and then me and my team will talk you through how to, improve your credit situation. Because at the end of the day, we want everybody to get at least 6 figures in business funding. If you don't have a business, start there. I know we've been talking about getting you the most business funding you can get, right? So you set up your business entity, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have more than one business, or what?
I don't just have one right
You
now.
have one right now. You might as well set up a couple
another
more.
one,
You know what I mean?
100%.
Like, just you're cloning yourself in a way where your business is going to be able to start taking risk. And then you have in the corporate realm right now,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're looking to start up a few businesses yourself and things of that nature.
I have one LLC now and one INC with the trucking industry.
Perfect.
Yeah,
So-
I also do that as well. Open up LLCs for people and things like that.
Yeah, so like I said, reach out to the team. We get you situated at the end of the day, because some of this stuff is like super simple. It might not be easy every time, but it's at least simple. You know what I mean? If you have the budget for it, you also want to have a budget for. I know in some states it's like only $125 to really just start up your LLC.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody knows about California, where it's like they'll tax you $800 a year. But I think it's funny. I heard a joke that they waived the startup cost to start a LLC in Cali or something like that temporarily, but it's still $800 a year after that. You know what I mean? It's wild. But I don't know. Do your research. I encourage everybody to, at the very least, start a LLC. And everybody thinks they're a professional when it comes to like business advice or anything like that. I can only speak for what I've been able to do and show somebody what I've been able to do. And things are getting a lot harder, which I'm going to make more podcasts about. I'm going to be talking about how all these little TikTok and Instagram reels are ruining the game for everybody. Everybody go to this bank. And they're like pointing. That's ruining the game for everybody. I'm gonna go in depth about that, about how the plays die out when they get too popular. All the little store cards I was able to get with no hard inquiry. I heard Floor and Decor died. You know what I mean? I think they're probably working with a different bank to underwrite Floor and Decor, but easily get $25K Floor and Decor. Hopefully you're in the real estate industry, so you have use for that credit card. Things of that nature, you know what I mean? But I'll probably get into that on a new podcast. But yeah, before we wrap up this one, anything else we want the people to know? Do you have like advice? We'll start with you. Like, what would you want your younger self to know, or the people that's getting started? Like the best piece of advice. Like maybe you have 30 seconds to talk to your younger self.
Just stay hungry, stay focused. There's down times, there's great times. But there's a goal, and if you want to achieve that goal, you need to put yourself 100% there, 100% at its fullest capability, because time is of the essence. Tomorrow is never promised, so it's like we all got one life. We want to live it to our fullest capability. So don't be lazy. Get off your ass and live the life that you want. You know, work hard, work hard, work hard. Beats talent when talent's not there. You know, and I believe anybody could be great at anything if you put over 10,000 hours into anything. You know, you do that and you keep going, you keep striving. It's only success from there.
That's facts. That's facts. What about you? I know you have.
I don't know. I can't top that. That's kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would tell my younger self to just get out there more. Just stop being content. You know, I feel like a lot of people are content and comfortable with where they are, and it's always, you know, more to learn, more to do, more people to help, just more things to experience. The more you get out there, the more you just not be shy, bashful, whatever it is. Yeah, do it. I would say do it.
100%.
Not Nike though. I'm not trying to steal his line.
No, right? No,
But it's really, if you all talk, it can be nothing if you put the actions behind it.
Exactly. It's all about also don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to fail. Failure is a part of life. Failure is a part of everything. Everyone loses. Everyone goes through heartfelts and all that like that. Just don't let it be, you know what I'm saying? Don't let it scare you. Don't let it take you away from what you're trying to do. It comes with the path. You know, God puts his toughest soldiers in the craziest environments. So, you know, if you feel a lot is happening, that means you were chosen, and that means, you know, something's gonna come good from behind it.
Yeah.
He's still preaching. I cannot.
Yeah, I mean that's a
He is
fact. That's like
preaching.
that's that. You know, that's a fact. You know,
It
like
is.
when
Felt that.
I think about that from time to time. It's like when like they say there's ups and there's downs, right? And it's like, you know, when you're going through a really tough season, and then you sort of feel like, all right, that must mean something's great about to happen.
Yeah.
Like, something like,
Something's
you know,
gonna
God
change.
is like just testing you to really see, like, do you really want what you asking for? You know what I mean? Like, you really, and then like, even, you know, in my life, you know what I'm saying? It's like being uncomfortable. Like, literally, we hear it on podcasts every single day. All these little TikTok reels and all these little motivational speeches. It's like, you gotta learn to be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The best analogy for it is just like sitting in a bucket of ice. It's like easier said than done. It's easier to watch somebody else do it.
Mm-hmm.
Or a bathtub worth of ice. You know what I mean? I watched somebody post something the other day where
Oh, like 10 days or 100
Yeah.
days in or something like that to do. Man, he a demon.
it's
He a demon.
wild.
I could
It's
watch
like
him all day, but I couldn't do it myself.
He said it. What?
He takes an ice bath, and it's about he's probably at like 100 and something days right now, and he lives in like Alaska or wherever he lives. It's cold as shit, and he literally puts the thermostat in the water, shows you how cold it is outside and in the water, and he'll sit in there, and he sits in there for about like 5 minutes every day, and he'll motivate you. He'll talk about some things sitting there in a bucket of ice. There's even times that the ice would be so cold, he'll have to jab it up to break it down to even get in there.
Yeah, oh my gosh, that's wild.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a whole nother. That's
That's definitely out of the comfort zone.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He's comfortable now. 100 days in, it don't phase him.
And that's the thing. You go into situations thinking like, oh, it's gonna be this, it's gonna be
Right.
like that. But the more you do it, and the more you know,
you
try
develop
it.
that hardened for it.
yeah,
100%.
a thicker
Yeah.
skin, I guess.
Yeah, so that, you know, that's a decent way to little wrap it up. I don't know what's the minutes are. I try to make these around like 85 minutes, but like this little intro, this is the first of many. You know what I mean? The first of many where we putting our minds together, putting this content together for the podcast, and then we gonna get her podcast, you know, up and running as far as like consistent episodes moving forward. You know, y'all can follow. Y'all can follow CVO at CVO Films. Let them know exactly where they can follow you, whatever websites you want to plug right now.
Everything, everywhere. If you Google CVO Films, I'm the only person that's gonna pop up. That's great when someone says Google me. Google
Right.
CVO Films, you'll see me, and you'll probably see some college stuff, but it's me.
Right. Follow, subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's my other channel. Make sure I subscribe there. You know, CVO Films. Yeah. So we got, follow him on Instagram, follow him on YouTube, and then they can follow you. Where you want them to follow you at? Even this is for now, and you can, you know what I'm saying, plug yourself in the next podcast. We do it now. Facebook, you know, Empress Talanda.
Haran is my last name, but if you are looking for services as far as property management, you can find me on Thumbtack Pro. That's the app I use
Okay.
to
Awesome.
get my leads.
Awesome. Thumbtack Pro. Is there a direct link that you have for the people listening on audio?
Yeah, I can get that.
Okay. We'll put it in the description. How about that?
Cool,
You know what I
cool.
mean? You can follow me at DeleteKing850. And, check out the website, DeleteKing850.com. And on my Instagram, DeleteKing850, and the link in the bio, you should be able to book a call, book a consultation where we can help you obtain a lot of business funding. I don't know what this pop-up is. Obtain at least 6 figures in business funding, starting with your personal credit. If it's not there, if you do not qualify, we'll get you situated, get you the funding that you need to really chase your dreams and support your business. That's what we're on. Oh, I got another consultation as we speak. That's crazy. 30 minutes. So we're going to wrap it up right there. Follow the YouTube channel, DeleteKing850, and continue to, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Appreciate y'all. Stay blessed.